Welcome back to Retro Rebound. In today's video, dressed for the occasion, baby. Shout out to my brother, got this for me for Christmas, and I've been waiting for this moment that I could don the Son Goku jersey, baby. Today, we're talking about Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 2. Why are we talking about the second game when we've never even done an individual video on the first game? Well, we got our hands on a new Sparking Zero trailer, which is basically Budokai Tenkaichi 4, and I am off the walls with excitement. So naturally, I had to go to my personal favorite in the Budokai Tenkaichi lineage, which is this one here. So we're gonna sit down, talk about it extensively, all of its modes, all that makes it awesome, and we're gonna talk naturally over time about all of the Dragon Ball games individually. We just did Budokai a couple months ago, so we're gonna go through them all individually because we've done big retrospectives on them collectively, but all of these games hold so many memories for me. So let's get into what is my personal favorite Dragon Ball game on the PS2, Budokai Tenkaichi 2. If you're new here and you're into nostalgic retrospective or that weebery, you're in the right place. Consider subscribing. So DBZ, Budokai Tenkaichi 2. This was like a dream game for me growing up because as a kid with very little money, every purchase matters. And when you land on that gold mine of content, you never forget it, especially when it's something you love. And with Dragon Ball Z, that's naturally something I love. And I remember renting from Blockbuster Budokai Tenkaichi 2, and it felt like this bottomless pit. 30 hours, 40 hours, 50 hours, 60 hours, 70 hours, 80 hours. Each and every single saga, movie covered. Every little fart in the wind that happens, covered. Every little fight that happens, covered. Can it get repetitive? Yes. Do I still love it? Abso-friggin-lutely, man. This game, the amount of content here makes me sick to my stomach, but I love it, man. Going through all the arcs, every little fight is covered, and as a kid, this hit different. Just knowing I had so much to go through, and as someone who missed some episodes from DBZ at the time, this was a really great way for me to like familiarize myself with the respective arcs ongoing in DBZ. So this was like also really important in my growth as a Dragon Ball fan because like pretty much everything in my life, if you say, have you seen this movie or this show? The answer is 9 out of 10 times, actually I'd say 9.9 out of 10 times, no. But if you ask me, have I played the game that's based on the show or the movie or whatever? Absolutely, because it's just how I discovered so many things in my life. I didn't really care for Star Wars, then I played KOTOR. And then I loved the movie. See, it's like the gateway drug to all the entertainment I love. So, for DBZ Budokai Tenkaichi 2, this was a huge part of me falling in love with these characters because the combat was fast and fluid. Everyone had pretty similar combos, but I just loved the flow and the rhythm still to this day of this combat. I will say firing it back up, I got my butt beat. I played it on game level 2, so there's level 1, 2, and 3 in the Dragon Ball Z adventure mode, and it was like that moment where, look, I'm 28, and I'm going to 29 this year, and there is that fear of one day I'm gonna watch in real time as my gaming skills atrophy. And on game level 2, Raditz was having his way with me, Nappa was having his way with me, freaking Yamcha was having his way with me. This dude was nuking me. There was a moment that Raditz was spamming like Ki Blast ultimates on me. I couldn't believe it. I was getting rinsed everywhere. And this is because the game's built around being an RPG. Like, the AI is pretty tough, which I appreciate, but when you start off the game, you know, you're level 8 and you're fighting levels 70s and 40s and all that stuff, you get boxed pretty quickly. And so I had to move down the difficulty initially just to get the ball rolling, get some levels flowing in. So yeah, this game has RPG mechanics. You know me, anything with stat allocation and equipment, like sign me up. When you have that in Dragon Ball, oh my god, I lost my mind. I remember as a kid, like going from KOTOR, which was like my first real introduction to role-playing games, and going into DBZ Budokai Tenkaichi 2 and going like, what, they have equipment here? Because before that, it was Budokai 2, and that was like a board game and a cool fighting game. But this now, you get to put on Ki Blast upgrades, attack upgrades, health upgrades, defense upgrades. And as you get deeper in the story and you get these meaningful upgrades, and you can go to the item store and fuse them together and make crazy combinations, like watching that level go up and going from where I was at early on to, you know, being battered and beaten down to rising up the ranks, out leveling people, doing the secret fights that are all over the map. It was amazing. That's one other thing that I love about Budokai Tenkaichi 2. I know 3 is like the known favorite because of its roster, and absolutely I get it. They also condensed the story mode, whereas, yeah, the flaw for many people with Budokai Tenkaichi 2 is how long-winded it can be, like the meta-cooler fights, or like even the moments that Krillin and Yamcha and Tien are training, like they fight each other, and it's just fight after fight after fight after fight, which is what Dragon Ball is. But I mean, they go off the walls with how many fights there are. But Budokai Tenkaichi 2 really works for me because of that world map. I remember as a kid, again, just seeing the show, loving the show, and this was that connection you needed to like get to the next level of how much you love it, because now you're in the world. And it's why something like DBZ Kakarot, I feel weirdly nostalgic for that game. Like, was it my favorite DBZ game? No, but the production value and the world space was so important because it brought back those childhood feels that I hold so closely. And it goes to this game right here where you're flying around the overworld and you go to these missions and you can drop down in certain places and explore these maps. It was incredible, right? It just, seeing, especially now, I had the benefit of today playing Budokai Tenkaichi 1 and how just not great it is. And then Budokai Tenkaichi 2, it's what a glow up, man. Incredible. But Budokai Tenkaichi 2 was not only a host to what I think is one of the best Dragon Ball story modes in the terms of a deep dive and character unlocks and all that fun stuff. It's also a host to great separate modes. There's this kind of arcade mode where it's an ultimate challenge, and you have them broken up into sagas and eras, like Goku's friends, for example, and these are pretty tough. And so you can pick whatever character you want, beat them up, and the point here is to get Zenny. Everything feeds you Zenny. There's a tournament mode, and there are different type of tournaments that you're going to unlock as you're going through the main story, but you first start off with the World Tournament arc. And so this is where you got all the presentation of the portraits and the announcer, and he's like, who will win this next battle? Like, I just love that, man. Again, another big part of my childhood was grinding these tournaments, getting as much Zenny as possible, going to the store, buying the expensive upgrades, over-leveling my characters, going into the main story, and just beating the snot out of everything that got in my way, including those extra fights. Like, there was one I did, it was for when we did our full Budokai Tenkaichi retrospective here on Retro Rebound. And I remember, I think I was playing as Vegeta. It was during the Android arc, and I just remember in that video, we showed me getting beat up by like a level 200 Yamcha. Like, I just love that that exists in this world. It's so special, it's so important. A lot of the game tweaks fighting at times, like there are survival fights. When you first fight Raditz in the opening arc of the game, he's way stronger than you, and you just gotta survive. And it's tough when you're in those survival fights, because every second it's ticking down and the AI is right on top of you, and they're gonna, again, go right after you. It's awesome how many ways they can switch it up, from survival mode to like tag fights to solo battles. It was, again, as a kid, and even to this day, pretty great. I know there was some controversy surrounding older DBZ soundtracks when it came to potential plagiarism, but what I will just say is there was a track in this game that as a kid I adored, and it's still to this day incredible to me. I just love the vibe it creates. It's the post-fight track. I talked about this in our Budokai Tenkaichi full retrospective. When that little hits, like, immediately I just feel dialed in, like, hey, this is real serious. Like the portraits on the menu, the presentation, the music, how it really ramps up. It just always excited me as a kid. I just thought it was so epic, and still to this day, it's fantastic. Like, it still just hits that same nostalgia nerve in my body. So I adore this game from top to bottom, and Budokai Tenkaichi has always been for me about like presentation as well as the character roster, and I feel this one strikes the greatest balance. As I mentioned earlier, you know, Budokai Tenkaichi 1, not there with the gameplay. You look at where Budokai was at the time, and just that transition to full 3D fighting wasn't great. Budokai Tenkaichi 2 is a massive upgrade in that department. Budokai Tenkaichi 3 goes all in on the character roster. Every single person in this game is playable, which is crazy and cool and makes it special in its own way, right? It's like the Smash Ultimate, if you will, of DBZ games. Just everybody is here. But for me, that led to feeling like some of the roster is just too heavily duplicated, where there's enough slight variations within the roster in DBZ Budokai Tenkaichi 2 where I was like, this just feels like the sweet spot to me between the world space, the modes, the content amount, the characters. It's all just right there. And I also like how many characters they start you off with. You get a couple of characters from each and every arc. You get a few from the Frieza arc. You get a few from the Android arc. You get a few from the Saiyan arc. I just like that you can jump off the rip here and have a bunch of characters available to you. And then you see how many question marks are there and you're like, oh my God, there's so many. I could go on and on, but ladies and gentlemen, let's do a complete in-box experience here of Budokai Tenkaichi 2 and then start wrapping this thing up. Here we have a beautiful copy of Budokai Tenkaichi 2. As a kid, I fell in love with this game immediately just by the box art alone. You have Trunks, who is my favorite character in his Super Saiyan form. He's got the black tank top, which is my favorite look for him, with the sword out, which is why I fell in love with him in the first place. And then in the reflection, you'll see here that you have Kid Goku, Super Saiyan Goku, and then Super Saiyan 4 Goku from GT. Like, just, I don't know. I think it's so beautiful, man. I actually have to get the JP version for this so I can kind of do what I have with Persona, which is all the multiple box arts and all that stuff, because I can get obsessive with this sort of stuff. On the back, it says it's the most explosive fighting game ever. Unleash the power of more than 120 DBZ heroes and villains, more playable characters than any other fighting game from Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, and Dragon Ball GT. There are tips and tricks here. The latest addition to the popular Budokai series can be summed up in 3 words: bigger, better, and badder. Right? It's a good type of bad. Don't get it twisted. Here on the bottom, you have a little bit more added descriptions. Live the complete adventure in a 60-hour enhanced story mode that covers the complete DBZ mythology. That's why I loved it, as I said earlier. Destroy 16 expansive battlefields with crushing blows and devastating power attack combinations. This will get a little repetitive if you're playing it nowadays, just a little heads up there. It also says demolish your opponents with new moves and combinations, including in-game transformations, tag battles, and vanishing attacks. And yeah, the transformations were huge in this game. Your combo speed would be nuts. Here on the inside, you have another beautiful look at the cover art on the manual. The disc is looking mighty fine with Shenron. And then let's take a look at this here manual, which longtime Retro Rebound fans will recognize this because we have gone through it a couple times here. But still, for those who are new, you'll see that the illustration work is beautiful because they got the characters in the backdrop of each and every page as they go through the controls and all the modes that the game offers. There's no real secrets to this one, but it is a joy to flip through just because you wonder what character is going to be on the next page here. I also love the menus in this game. I didn't really call attention to that, but I love the menus because there's always like, what character is going to appear and what funny thing are they going to say? Like, I found it hilarious that they had Android 18 for the Dragon Tournament because she, like, if you win, she starts blushing. And I'm like, what the heck, man? Majin Vegeta here. This is just, oh man, so many memories packed into all these different characters. And just all of the beautiful, beautiful art. I can't get enough of it. Like, look how far they even span. They got Bojack, man. Like, I love that stuff. I love that stuff. Here you have Boo, you have Frieza, Shenron in the middle as we get into the credits. And then towards the back, they have Super Android 13. So, looking great there. And that is, ladies and gentlemen, a complete in-box copy of Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 2. That'll do it. Budokai Tenkaichi 2. Special game to me. I'll always be thankful for this one because it was really that and Budokai 2, like massive springboards for my DBZ fanship. And to know that we have a new Budokai Tenkaichi kind of experience on the way is tremendously exciting. So I cannot wait for Sparking Zero. And I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts. Do you have a favorite Budokai Tenkaichi game or a Budokai Tenkaichi styled game? Because there's ones like Raging Blast, which have more of that spirit, but I haven't played much of those. Maybe a video in the making, right? Let me know what you're thinking. And with that, I will catch all of you in the next Retro Rebound. Peace out.